This video is sponsored by FreeGive. If you need help with Drupal and AI, get in contact with us. So today I'm gonna do a video about a tool that I built without writing a single line of code. That is your typical chat with your content chatbot or agent. So you can see, you know, I've added some content, but with a twist. So what we're gonna do here, we're gonna go into Slack and ask Slack via Drupalbot, can you find all articles about mental health? There should be this article. That's the only one that has something to do with mental health. And it answers back with an actual link to my website. So how does this work? So this time I will not actually show you how to set it up. I will show you how it is set up. It took me pretty long time to figure out some stuff in ECA, but if you know ECA well, and if you know Agents API well, you can easily set this up in 30 minutes. And the kicker is you don't need to write a single line of code to get this working. So I just made a very ugly image here of what's happening. You're a user, you write something to Slack. Slack has something called events, where you can send events as webhooks. This is being sent into a custom ECA webhook I have set up, and this is then triggering the agent with whatever message this person has sent here, as long as it's to the Drupalbot. One of the tools that the agent has, so it has the, you know, possibility to look at the content, but it also has the possibility to, via the MCP client, run the Slack MCP server. So we have installed the Slack MCP server on the same, well, in this case, my local machine. That makes it possible to get all the tools that are available there, and one of the tools is to post an answer. So that is the way that the agent can actually post an answer in this case. So what you need to have, well, you need to have set up an event subscription to some kind of webhook, and that's what I've set up in this ECA. Then it probably looks more complex than it is, but it took some time to get it right. So what's happening here, that we get a webhook message. We say that anyone can push there because Slack will never be authenticated, of course. We get the payload. I just log it just to be able to debug it. So that step you don't necessarily need. Unserialize this payload, and the payload, there are two basic parts of the payload that's important. So one thing is, the first time when you're setting it up, you have to basically say that I am the owner of this website, which means that if they say send a challenge, you have to respond with the same challenge to prove that you own it. So that's one way. I'm currently putting in a cache. Or if there are instructions, then the actual instructions, we save those in a cache. I'm also logging this, and here you can see it will only do that if it has a @Drupalbot mention. So you can see it should contain this. It's the ID of the Drupalbot. Then the webhook response. So if the challenge exists, it's gonna output the actual challenge. Otherwise, we just output nothing, because the webhook doesn't really care about the response when it's being used after you have validated it. And what took me some time to understand, because I didn't read the documentation, stupid as I am, I just saw the agent getting triggered over and over. It turns out that you have to have a response within 3 seconds, otherwise Slack starts retrying again. And since agents can take pretty long time to run, this might be over 3 seconds. So what we do here is we're actually outputting something, we're throwing it out to the buffer, the web server gets it and responds, but the PHP continues running in the background. So after the response is sent, we get the instruction cache, check so it exists, then we log this for debugging again, we delete it so it doesn't run on every page load, of course, and then we trigger the agent with this instructions then. And that is the ECA model then. That is the first part that has now triggered the agent. So what we have set up then in the agent, or no, before we set up that, we have set up the MCP server, because the agent is gonna need this. So we have set up a Slack MCP server that is using, it's this Slack MCP server. So it's just sitting there listening to a port. And if you then add MCP server, I'm gonna edit it now. You just say the host name. In this case, it's outside of my Docker. That's why it has this funny host name. You get all the tools that's available. And those are the tools that you can make available to the agents. I've only done Slack post message in this case, but you see you can get channel history, you can add a reaction or do other stuff with this MCP server. And then you can then set up the agent, which is a pretty simple actually agent. It basically says, you know, go and find something in RAG. If you don't find anything, say that. I have done videos before on how to set up RAG search, but what's important here then is you have to make sure you use the Slack post message with the same output. And then today's date is, it's getting today's date, so you can ask, can you get me the, I don't know, the latest, or can you get me an article within the last week or something. The tools it has is Slack post message, and somewhere it should have RAG vector search as well. That's the only two tools we have. We have set that the RAG vector search can only search in articles, and we have set that the Slack post message can only then post in this specific channel that we had. Outside of that, it is basically set up as a normal RAG agent, so how you would set it up with the AI assistance framework. So the only difference is here now we're running a Slack MCP server that can answer, and we have a ECA agent that can trigger the agent. And yeah, that's it. We're actually getting somewhere, especially now when we're working together with Jürgen with ECA, that there is so crazy capabilities that you can do with Drupal without developing anything. Thank you for watching.